Hey y'all, this is Lauren from Mama's Learning Corner. Really appreciate you stopping back by my channel today. I'm on my 5th and final curriculum video for this year. 5 videos, 5 children, and that is a lot of curriculum, I'll just tell you. But today is my kindergarten boy. And I'm gonna show you everything that we're doing so far. Some things we're gonna pick up in the middle of the year, and I'll show you those too. But let me show you what we're learning this year in kindergarten. If this is the first time you've stumbled upon my channel, let me introduce myself to you quickly. I am Lauren. I blog at Mama's Learning Corner. I have a blog now for 10, 11, 12, I think it's 11 years. I share learning ideas. I have a membership portion where you can get all of the educational printables that are on my site, worksheets, printables, unit study ideas, where you can get all those things for just one yearly price. And I share lots of book ideas, book suggestions, and every once in a while I share a few things like about mothering, homemaking, that kind of thing. But yeah, I have 5 children. They are boys at the ends. I have a boy that's 17, that's a senior. I have a little boy that's in kindergarten, and then I have girls in the middle, 6th, 8th, and 10th grade girls. So 5 all the way to 17. And yes, it is busy before you ask. You know it is. But today I'm sharing about my kindergarten boy, and I'll tell you, it is hard for me mentally to switch gears a lot of times. So I'm doing, big literature, heavy theological type things with my senior. With my 10th grader, I'm doing, heavy literature texts like Tale of Two Cities or Hamlet or those types of things. And my 6th and my 8th grade girl, and then I'm like down teaching phonics to my 5-year-old boy. So it is a stretch. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is a stretch, but it's good. But it's a stretch, like for my brain, okay, we've been doing this really heavy stuff, and now we need to talk about how many sounds the letter A can make. So yeah, it's a real balance for me, trying to switch gears from one to the other. Let me show you what my little boy's doing. So kindergarten through the years has looked different at our house. This is my 5th time teaching kindergarten. I love kindergarten. I love the early reading years, early learning years. I love them. So I'm so blessed and privileged that I get to teach this yet another time with my 5-year-old boy. So we use a mix of things. We've used just a multitude of things through the years. Everything from Horizons to standard workbooks to unit studies that I create to 5 in a row. The list just goes on and on and on. This year, however, is probably the most boxed curriculum I have ever used for kindergarten. And part of that was just because there's only so many hours in the day. I mean, there's just so many hours in the day. So I have a lot of reading to do and preparation to do for my big kids that are in high school and middle school years. And so I just don't have enough, this sounds terrible, but I just don't have as much creativity, bandwidth for creativity like I used to. When I had only littles, I could devote all my creativity to that and all my energy, but that's just a different season of life now. So that being said, I'm using more boxy type things than I ever have. And so far it's going okay. It's going okay. I'm okay with it. It does hurt my pride a little bit. I'll be very honest that I can't do all the things. I struggle with that. Always have. But we're on a path now, and I'm happy with where it's headed. First thing I want to tell you is we're using a mix of Memoria Press, Handwriting Without Tears. I'm looking at my table as I describe these things. We're doing a little bit of Rod and Staff math. So a very good mix of those things. So let me start with handwriting. I have a lot of posts about handwriting. I have a very good video of how I combined my 2 girls when they were little into teaching them handwriting at one time. I'm a big believer in handwriting because I wasn't in the beginning, and it bit me in the rear with my oldest boy. So I'm not making that mistake again, which was to just think handwriting would resolve itself. It doesn't resolve itself. It was a real hindrance to him. So I learned from that mistake. That being said, my 5-year-old is handwriting resistant. My 1st was like that, my 3rd was like that, and my 5th is going to be like that. I can just already tell it. Anytime there's tears when it comes time to pick up a pencil, that's a pretty good clue. Plus, he's never liked to color. He's never picked up a pencil really of his own free will. I mean, those are all clues, and I knew to look for them. So that being said, I have to give handwriting a little bit more attention with him. What I also have to do is limit handwriting in other areas, and I'll explain that in just a minute. So for handwriting this year, the first 8 to 10 weeks, we're going to be doing Kickstart Kindergarten from Handwriting Without Tears, or it's not that now. Learning Without Tears. But I'm from the dark ages, so I call it Handwriting Without Tears. But this is a newer product that they have, and it's to bridge the gap between that green preschool book and the orange kindergarten book. I looked at the kindergarten book, and my boy is not ready for that right now. It kind of flies through letters. Flies through, I use that, take that with a grain of salt. For some of my girls, it would have been the perfect pace, but for this boy that has trouble, it's too hard for him. So we're doing Kickstart Kindergarten, and I really like it. I will tell you, I really like it. So you start out with a letter, this is from the last couple of days. So of course it's just like regular Handwriting Without Tears style. It has the big D, has what it looks like in the wood blocks, has what it looks like in the slate, and then you practice. But there's lots and lots of practicing. So it goes through the frog jump capitals, just like regular. Then it moves on to, after you do all of uppercase, it moves on to lowercase with magic C. And then he's still not writing sentences, but he's writing like a capital T and the lowercase t in this sentence and just the V's in this sentence. So that is just so helpful. That'll be so perfect for him. Here's another example of that. So just the Y's in the top sentence. So I saw on their website that they have a condensed version of this that you could do like over the summer. One is 4 weeks, one is 6 weeks. I chose to very loosely on their plan, make a plan for us. We're doing probably 2 letters a day and maybe a number. And that is plenty for him. And like, as you saw, he doesn't even write all of them. Like he doesn't even write all of them. And I'm fine with that because I want him to write in a few other places. So I can only do so much writing with him each day. So we do this, and that also involves, we don't do the chalk every day, the slate every day, but so he has a slate and I have a slate, and we use the chalk pieces and the little sponge for the wet, dry, try. So we do that probably 2 or 3 days a week. The days that we don't do that, we do the wood pieces. We have 2 sets of wood pieces, so he can do them and I can do them. But this is all the same stuff I've had from my girls. So I didn't buy any of this new. It was just hand-me-downs from his older siblings. So we do one of those hands-on things every day for handwriting, and then we write the letters in the book. And that so far has been going really well. Super, super duper well. I'm pleased with that. I didn't start out with Handwriting Without Tears for this child, and I should have. My gut feeling said I should have, and I was just like, well, we'll try and do phonics, with all this heavier writing and these other things I'm going to show you, but that wasn't a good fit for him, and I knew it. So next time I'll just listen to my gut instinct from the start. All right, let's look at phonics next. So before we do phonics, I started with the wrong thing. I should have started with how our day starts. So handwriting is the second thing we do each day. But the first thing we do every single day after our morning Bible time +1 together. I have a video on how we do Bible +1 with all my children. So go take a look at that if you're interested. Then the big kids go off to do their own independent stuff for a little while, and he and I have kindergarten, and this is what we start with. Love the sports. He's a very sportsy boy. So we start with his daily calendar notebook, and this is something I've made for years and years and years. That started with my oldest girl, and I've just tweaked it through the years, and you can find it on my website, and I'll leave the link down below. So here's the starter page. We circle, so like this was today's Thursday on the day I'm recording this. What today is, what tomorrow is, what the month is, the year, the seasons, what the weather is. He is very into telling time. So I write a time on the analog clock, and he fills it in on the digital. He fills it in on analog. He's only doing like hour, like 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, but he loves time. Sometimes we talk about what time are we going to go outside. And so we circle the go outside. I write it here, and he makes the hours on the clock. A little bit of tracing here. For the Shapes I Know pages, I say put an X on the semicircle, put a check on the hexagon, you know, those types of directions, and I change them each time. And then we practice money on the back. This particular calendar has a ton more pages, a ton. But I only put in a few at a time, and I change them mostly every week just so it stays fresh to him. This is a great little way to learn the calendar. Oh, I didn't show you, there's also a monthly page in there. Another good way to practice ordinal numbers. So we do this every day. He loves it. I think it's because he gets to use the dry erase marker. Apparently that's like a treat. So yeah, this is what we do first. And then we do handwriting like I showed you just a minute ago. Then we take a little bit of a break, like 5 minutes, long enough to get up and go to the bathroom or get some water. And then we come back and do phonics. So let me show you that. So for kindergarten, we are using Memoria Press's kindergarten phonics program. I don't know how much you know of my backstory with my older girls, but my second and fourth children, 2 girls, had a little bit trouble with reading, and I totally attribute Memoria Press's phonics with my younger girl being able to read fluently and well, and it was just the perfect pacing for her, the perfect amount of writing for her in order for her to solidify those phonics in her brain. Now, in previous years, we had done All About Reading with 2 of my other children, worked beautifully for them. All About Reading did. I'm a big fan. You know, it's just different things for different children and being able to recognize which one this particular child needs. So I'm going to go with Memoria Press Phonics for him. Number 1, it's fresh in my brain. Number 2, I already have so many of the pieces of it, and I know how to modify it for him who's not big on the physical act of writing. So I also order, even though I'm not doing all of the pieces of Memoria Press, I go ahead and order the curriculum manual. I explained in another video that if you order the manual, which is $30, which has all the plans in it, the other pieces come at a discount. So you can mix and match the pieces of the curriculum that you need. And as long as you order the manual, those come at a discount. And you can call and get a custom quote from them, which I do almost every time. I don't order directly from the website usually. So where I find the plans for the phonics is in the weekly guide. So for example, this is week 19. This whole section across here is going to be phonics. All of this is going to be phonics. There's lots of extra helps in the appendix. What is also nice is if you order this directly from Memoria Press, the company, as opposed to going through Rainbow Resources, the items that are in the appendix that you would typically copy on the printer, those come as a download in your account. So you can just click and print. It is so convenient. I love it. If you did not want to order the whole curriculum manual, like you're only using their phonics, you can order just those lesson plans. And I believe they're either $8 or $12. I want to say they're $12. And they come as a digital download, and you just print them and go day by day. It is so beautiful the way the pacing works. I'm a big fan. So that's where I found out what we're doing every day. I look on week 15 and I look at Monday, and then I look at week 15 and I look at Tuesday, or you know, whatever week we're on. So let me show you the pieces that come with the phonics. Okay, so I'll look in the lesson plans to tell me what I'm doing every day. And then I use this teacher's guide. Their program is called First Start Reading, their phonics. And the teacher's guide teaches me how to teach the phonics. So I don't need a whole ton of this personally because this is my 5th go around with phonics. I've had to do a lot of self-teaching in the past with phonics because I had those 2 older girls that read so much later. So I really had to educate myself on how to teach phonics. So a lot of this was not new to me, but if this was my first child that I was teaching phonics to, this would be like gold to me because it's really step by step. This is how you do it. It's just, I mean, it really is just beautiful. So they tell you which phonics cards you're going to need. I'll show you those in a minute. It has ear training exercises like I'm going to say 4 words. You tell me which ones start with the B sound, like that type of thing. So I really like this. This is used for all 4 workbooks, and I'll show you those. We are currently in, excuse me, it's over here. We are currently in workbook A, and I'll show you a peek at it. So this is lesson 17, so it's a little bit further along. So blending specific words, working on a specific sound, and then there's lots of opportunity for writing. We're only doing a very small portion of that writing. So this is books A through D. And I can't quite remember what it gets through. I feel like it gets through digraphs like end, like for land. I feel like it gets through those, but I could be wrong. But this one instruction manual takes you through all those books. As a supplement to those, they use the Core Skills Phonics books, and you pull, I don't know, 2 to 5 pages per week and work through those. I feel like there is an update to this, and Memoria Press put out their own product. But I ordered my materials last spring, so 6 months ago, and I feel like they put out a new product that combined these. I could be wrong about that, but if they did, I'll put it in the link below. Next, in addition to all of that phonics work, you're going to be using classical phonics if you do the kindergarten Memoria Press phonics. This is like this deceptively little simple book, but I have used it over and over and over with my girls. Has lots of phonics prompts, and then it has word lists, which sounds really boring and repetitive, but the way it's paced is just so perfect. It's really, really so helpful. In fact, I almost wasn't going to use this with my girl that had so much trouble reading, but I'm glad I did. It was a good fit for her. In addition to the phonics, Memoria Press has phonics flashcards that I feel are definitely crucial when it comes to their spelling curriculum. They so top notch. Right now in kindergarten, at the stage we are right now, I think we're in week 5. We're only using like the alphabet cards. But let me just show you quickly. They move on to like for first grade, for harder reading, or the end of kindergarten, more advanced reading. Like we move into the digraph, wha, right? And then on the back, it's the 2 ways to say it, wha or wa, and then examples of that. There's just one example, like for trigraphs, like squa, and then examples on the back. And then there's a whole packet of common words. So there's probably 100 of those, maybe not that many. And then directions on when to use what. Oh yeah, there's these like the sh sound. So that TI makes a sh sound. And then examples of that. These cards, I love them. Love them. And I laminated them because I knew with my girl we would use them over and over, and we did. And then they're also numbered at the bottom, so you can easily keep track of them and find them in order. Also with phonics, these little readers are the same words that are practiced in each of those reading books. It's just in story format. So the cat and the rat, and then they're just little beginning readers. So we'll use these. And what else comes with phonics? A cut and paste book. I have a lot of these things on my site though, like where you practice the O sound and then you paste and glue, cut and glue on the correct sound. I have a lot of that on my website, so that I've created for my children before him. So I'm using a lot of that type of material for him, especially cut and paste type stuff, or matching, or something that doesn't necessarily take the physical act of writing to do. And let me show you 2 other things, but I gotta grab them. Hold on. Once he gets a little further into reading, hopefully that'll be mid-year. I don't know. You just never know how it's gonna go with the pace of reading. Like, do they catch them quickly? Some do. Is he going to? I'm not sure yet, actually. This was a little set of books that I got from Milestone Books that publishes the Rod and Staff curriculum. They're called Little Sunbeam, and I got them for my 4th child, and they are just sweet, very sweet little wholesome stories. They are just so darling. And the pictures are just beautiful, little easy, wholesome pictures. I love it. So he'll use those as readers later on. I have my original set of Horizon readers for my oldest boy. So these are old. Yeah, these are 12 years old, 13 years old. So I didn't use Horizons for a long time with my other children because boy, the pace of that just really picks up fast. And my girls couldn't do that. They just didn't read as quickly, and they couldn't keep up with Horizons. But their K reader, the purple one, you can tell it's been very loved and used. The other ones get hard quickly. So those are definitely later for on down the line. So phonics, total in terms of phonics time, 10 minutes max a day, just phonics practice. So all those things I showed you, 10 minutes max a day. And his attention span is really just gone after that. So I try really hard. But the pacing of the curriculum guide keeps it at that almost every day. So perfect. So for kindergarten math, I've never found a kindergarten math curriculum that I just love. One that, I just can't wait to do. And typically for kindergarten math, I pull from a lot of different resources. But you have to remember, this is my 13th year of homeschooling, so there's a ton on my shelf that I can pull from, and plus just years of experience. So that's just really invaluable. So there's not a curriculum per se that I'm using. I'm very loosely, and I say very loosely, I'm using some Memoria Press plans, which uses rod and staff. I'll show that to you in a second. But what we've done a lot lately is a lot of work on the hundreds chart, learning how to skip count by 2 or by 5 or by 10, or making sure he knows all of his numbers up to 100 and what they look like. So I'll say, put your bear counter on number 65. So then he does 65. If your bear counter is on 10, move back 2 spaces. And so then we talk about how it's 10 minus 2. So a lot of that. And a lot of the ideas for this, I just have jotted down over the years from different places or my own head that I've made up. And I just have a list that we go down every single day, so I don't have to reinvent them. I should really post those. If you want to see what that looks like, let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can get it written up in a post and put those up. Also, I mentioned he likes time a lot. We occasionally use our little clocks. Like I'll make a time on mine, like 8 o'clock. I'll have him copy it, and then he has to tell me what time it is. So he really likes that. It's like a game, We very, very loosely use the first grade rod and staff. I already had this with my older girls, so I pulled it off the shelf and we used it for him some. If you follow the Memoria Press plans, they use the first half of the grade 1 book in kindergarten, the second half in grade 2. They also supplement with, Memoria Press chooses to supplement with their own books, number book 1 and 2. We've done some of this. We do a lot of it out loud because it's real heavy on writing. It's real heavy on writing. If you're not familiar with rod and staff, the gold of any rod and staff book is going to be in the teacher's manual. That's where all the teaching and good ideas are. So yeah, we're doing some of this. I like a lot of the rod and staff materials in terms of math. So yeah, I'm happy pulling different things each day. Do I have a written down plan? No, I don't. Did I have a written down plan my first 2 or 3 children? I did, because I wasn't as sure of myself, or I wasn't able to necessarily decide what they needed in math, and were we doing enough, and was it too little? But I'm kind of over those things. Not to sound condescending, I don't mean it to sound that way. I'm kind of over that though. This boy, we just kind of take it at his pace. He's really interested in addition. So we're using number bonds with addition, which I got from Singapore Math years and years ago. So it's just kind of pulling from a bunch of different sources. But I'll try and consolidate that into a post so you can see in a more concrete way what we do. So we do phonics every day, we do handwriting every day, we do math every day. The other things we do not do every day, but they get done at some point during the week. I mentioned that we do a Bible time. The word left my brain. We do a Bible time each day, all of my kids, all of my 5 together. Harrison sits in with that, my 5-year-old, but he's not super engaged. I mean, we're reading like Bible text. So he's not super engaged with that, although he does pay attention, thankfully. So what I do with him, this is also from Memoria Press, and this beautiful story Bible. I found it before Memoria Press, but they used it and it was just like the icing on the cake. The pictures are magnificent. The text is written for kindergarten to a lower second grade level, probably. Lots of ideas for talking points in the sides, in the margins, and there's a little prayer if you want to pray that specific prayer that they suggest. Some other things that you can do, questions to ask about the text. if you're not familiar with how to, like the unit study style of learning, like 5 in a row, or that type where you look at a picture and you analyze the picture and ask good leading questions, then this type is what you want to get. This style of story Bible. And if you still like are a beginner at that type of learning with your children, they also offer Memoria Press offers this Christian Studies Enrichment booklet. I got it when many years ago with my olders, but so it has between 5 and 10 questions per story, and they correlate to the children's Bible. Definitions, that might not be obvious. The word covenant, the word shield, the word heir, like very simple children's terms, what those mean. And then, yes, some of these are yes/no questions. Some of them are tell me what happened during the story in this part. Why was this person mad? What did this person say? So that's a great resource. It also reminds me a little bit of this style of questions and prompts to help you think about what's taken place in the story. That reminds me of Bible Study Guide for All Ages, except it's on a older kid scale maybe. But yeah, that's a very good resource if you need some help in understanding what that model of questioning should be, about how to make sure your child's understood the story. Along with that, from Memoria Press's Copybook 1, I've gone on and on about how the boy isn't big on handwriting, so we haven't started this yet. Hopefully the middle of the year. But Copybook is not handwriting, although it's working on handwriting. It's how they are memorizing the Bible verses that are assigned in the book. And they start out very, very simple. The first one is Genesis 1:3, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So while we certainly read these, we are not memorizing this yet because my little boy is doing Awanas. And those verses are longer and harder if you have any familiarity with it. So while this is not our only Bible time during the week, I really do like this. If this was our only Bible time, I would probably spend more time with it. But our daily lives are so infused with Bible time throughout the day, Bible stories at bedtime, Bible devotions right after supper. But if this was our only thing, I would be more particular about what we do in terms of how long we spend on it. Okay, the last thing I want to show you that we do for kindergarten, although there's a few other things, but I'll leave it at this for now because I know the video is long. The last thing we do is we do the enrichment from Memoria Press. Now, I have mentioned these things several times, but this is very much unit study, 5 in a row type enrichment, which is just a beautiful and gentle way to learn. I can plan a unit study with my eyes closed. I've done it a million times, but the reason I chose this for this year was because I just didn't have the time to plan out everything that I needed to do for the unit study. I just didn't have time. So it is what it is. But I'm very happy with kindergarten enrichment. And I'll show you what that looks like. So it's a separate book. And they assign one book per week, very 5 in a row style. And I'll give you an example. The first week we used this, we did the book, A Tree is Nice. So it's this book, you read it most every day. I don't know what other people do, but we read it most every day for the week. We talk about the author. So the text in the enrichment guide gives you all this information about the author, the illustrator, when the book was written, any details pertinent that are, make it fun and interesting. Lots of vocabulary. If this is unfamiliar vocabulary, there's quick definitions. And then the things to talk about in the book. So again, if you're not familiar with like that style of questioning, so it's things like, in fact, we read this one again today because it's one of his favorites. So like on this page in the book, there's a bunch of little kids in the trees. Show me the kid that looks like he's asleep. Why do you think he would fall asleep in a tree? Do you think he's going to fall out? Questions like that. And then let me show you another one. This is one from the beginning. So there's this little boy, looking up into the trees. What do you think he's thinking about? Do you think the ground is wet? All those types of questions that just make it interesting. And funny enough, we went on a walk this morning. This is a side note, a long-winded side note. We went on a walk this morning and there was a tree that we don't typically go by. We went a different route. And he said, "Can you help me get up in the tree?" Well, of course I did, because, you know, he's a tree-loving boy. He sits up in the tree and he says, "Mama, a tree is nice." And it was just so sweet, you know, that he was thinking about our little book that we had just read. Anyway, little moments like that, like, I just love them. Like, it makes all this hard work and planning, like, it just makes all that so worth it to me. So going back to our book here. So all those type of questions, they do have a few language lessons every once in a while, but they're very age appropriate, nothing intense. They give you ideas to do for history related to this book, ideas for science related to the book. And then they also do art, music, and poetry related to the book of the week, which I really like. So for example, in this week that we did it, I have the art card that comes with it, or you can buy the posters. I do both because we often use this for our +1 after Bible time. So I'm holding it upside down. So they know that this is birch forest. They know that Klimt is the painter. They know that it's in a private collection and it can't be found anywhere else in the world. So they know all the details about birch forest, which relates to his book. Then it assigns poetry readings. It assigns music readings that are on a Spotify list that you just click and play related to the reading. And then my son's favorite part, which is always shocking to me, it comes with the book of crafts. So for this particular one, it's a tree made with tissue paper in it, like a brown paper bag. It's really cute. So like this 3D pop off the page type craft. And they are very thoughtful crafts. I've been so pleased with them. And usually there's a choice of two. One that's more related to the author that you're studying and one that's more related to the book that you're studying. Author meaning the artwork, like the birch forest artwork. So one in that style or one related to the book. But so there's a craft for every week of the year. I think it goes through 34 weeks, I believe. So yeah, we love the enrichment. It's really good. I don't have to think it up. The only thing I have to do is organize it on Sunday night and make sure all my pieces are in the right place. Okay, that was a lot of talking. So I feel like I just threw it out at you really quickly. I usually don't talk quite this fast, just in day-to-day talking, but I wanted to give you a little glimpse of what we're using in our kindergarten year. Now, this is not what it's ever looked like in kindergarten for our family, so we'll just have to see how this goes. Field trips, we do those. I try really hard to do a field trip a month. This particular little boy does love battle reenactments. So I'm on a mission to find every battle reenactment around us, and so we can go visit them all. We've been to 2 so far. So yeah, he gets plenty of playtime outside. The total amount of time we do on school, an hour, maybe, hour and 15, but that's with breaks because he's a 5-year-old boy that would much rather be outside kicking a ball or beating on a tree with a stick than sitting inside doing anything related to holding a pencil. And I'm fine with that. I mean, that's just who he is, and it's very age appropriate for 5 years old. Now, you can't do that at 10, but you can do it at 5. And I know enough about mothering him and mothering in general and homeschooling that, you know, this is all going to work out. So let me know what you're doing in kindergarten this year. If it is anything related to what we're doing, or if you're on a whole different track. And if you are, absolutely fine. That's the joy of homeschooling. You teach whatever you want to teach and how you want to teach it. It's just a beautiful thing. So let me know what you're doing in your kindergarten year. And I'd love to read all about it. I always like to see what other families are doing. I find that to be interesting. So appreciate you watching today. I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel. You can hit the red button and then I'll come up in your subscription feed. And that's it. I'll talk to you soon.